instead of checking in once again. I had an amazing time with Arthur, Nick, and Nicole. Very informative, great questions, great time. Looking forward to come to the event next year and just supporting all that she has going. You should definitely do the interview. It was amazing. I enjoyed it. It's funny, captivating, interesting. Tell everybody.
What up? It's your boy Chewy 2 Up. Just wanted to go ahead and check in and let y'all know how to break the silence. The interview went. It was a pleasure. Miss Nick and Nicole, thank you for having me on there. I'll definitely be back. I definitely got more music, definitely a whole bunch of events coming up and popping up. I know I look a little rough now, fresh off work, but I appreciate you for having me on the show. I'll definitely be back. Thank you. It was amazing.
What's up, everybody? This is Tiffany J, and I want to come and let you guys know that I had a fabulous time with Nikki and Nicole on Breaking the Silence, her podcast. Okay? So she was an amazing host. All right, she made me blush. She brought out some stuff from the past that I didn't know that she was looking into, but she definitely did her research. Okay, kudos to you. She gave a lot of pointers. She asked some amazing questions, made you dig deep, and she made you feel comfortable. All right, so I enjoyed it. If you want to check her out, it's on Breaking the Silence 24 on Instagram, and she's also an author extraordinaire. So, yeah. All right. Take care, and again, my name is Tiffany J. Check her out. All right.
There's levels to this. 70. There's levels to this. 80 levels.
I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Do you know what that mean, man? I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Do you know what that mean?
She got her own house, she got her own car. 2 jobs, work hard, you a bad bro. If you ain't on, sit down. If you ain't on, sit down. If you ain't on, sit down. If you ain't on, sit down.
I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Do you know what that mean? Baby fat, just relax, front your own flat screen. Back row, cook clean, and don't make a scene. When you call on a cellular, she tell you she don't need not a goddamn thing. You a hot damn thing. If you think you finna get her with a goddamn thing, you insane, boy, you better get
The silence where you can unleash your inner voice with Arthur, Nick, and Nicole. People ask me all the time why I do what I do. My vision is to shine a light on everyday people, great people, so that we all can win.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Breaking the Silence with Arthur, Nick, and Nicole, where you can unleash your inner voice. I hope everybody's having a great day today. I'm a little tired today, but you know what? The grind don't stop, and sometimes you have to get that time where you're just up all night long just handling business. So it'll pay off eventually. So anyway, today I'm going to introduce you George Brooks. Let me tell you a little bit about George Brooks. Me and him had the pleasure of being on an episode a couple of days ago called The Last Mic Standing. And yeah, he spit some real knowledge on that episode that night. We had a good time. It was 2.5 hours. I was like, Lord, my butt is sticking to the chair. I've never sat on the episode for 2.5 hours, but it was all good and all love. So let me tell you a little bit about him. He's the founder of the Meta Association. He's a mental health advocate. He's a life coach. He's a writer. He's a mentor at Terry Foundation. And he's from Tennessee, but he's now residing in Texas. So after his video promo and his countdown, please welcome this amazing gentleman to the stage.
Oftentimes, people with mental illnesses are incarcerated. They're tossed in jail. instead of taken to facilities where they can be treated and stabilized. We don't have outpatient plans for people that are brought in on an emergency basis like we should. We don't have the support system, and especially for those that are incarcerated. We may provide them bare minimum medication while they're incarcerated, but once they get out, what's in place for them?
Welcome to my problems. It's not an invitation. This is my dilemma, and it's my obsession. I was sober, now I'm drunk again. I'm in trouble and in love again. I don't wanna be a dead man walking. I don't wanna be a dead man walking. Welcome to my nightmare, where dreams go to disappear. Sit around in rehab, feeling. Welcome to my problems. It's not an.
How you doing?
I am blessed. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Like I said, I'm a little tired. Today, but I'm here. Hold on. I
All
think
right,
my
this is-
volume is not up enough. 1 second. Okay. I had to get that volume up a little bit.
All right.
So, tell everybody who George Brook is and everything about you.
All right. I don't know if we got enough time for that, but I'm gonna try. 46 years old, originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I moved from Memphis to Dallas at age 40 after my divorce, after recovering from a 10-year cocaine addiction, and felt like I needed a change of pace. And was trying to find purpose in my life and trying to get centered in my spirituality. And moving to Dallas helped me do that. And I started my nonprofit Meta Association as a way to facilitate destigmatizing and decriminalizing mental health, especially among us Black folks, where it's still such a heavy stigma that we're just now starting to talk about it. And in terms of the racial trauma, the family secrets, all the things that we built up over generations, we're finally starting to address those. So started my nonprofit, embarked on a public speaking career, work as a mentor, working on film production in the next couple of years, currently working on my book. So I got a lot going on right now, but it's all for the purpose of helping people dealing with mental illness because I've been there. I'm bipolar. I've been dealing with bipolar since age 7 and PTSD and DID for 40 years. And so in that time, I've gained a lot of experience, a lot of insight. I've been through a lot of trauma, and all that has gone to be getting to the point where I can use that to help other people. Instead of letting that trauma, hinder me, hurt me, I use it, I externalize it, I turn it into a weapon to try to help other people. And by doing so, it helps heal myself.
Right. Wow.
Oh,
That's
most importantly, my most important job, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, is a father. I have 2 sons. That's my most important job. Everything else is secondary. God, children, me, then everything else. So I have to keep perspective on everything with everything I got going.
love it. I love it. So with you wearing so many hats, I had to narrow it down to 3 areas that we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about your role as a life coach. What inspired you to be a life coach?
Just having experienced some of the things I did, I felt like I could add insight to people. My specialty, my emphasis is people living with mental illness. I think that with everything I've been through and what God has bestowed upon me, I'm a good person to help people navigate that. Dealing with the regular foils of life, dealing with regular things, and then having that extra albatross of having a mental illness is something that's difficult. But it's important for me to try to do what I can to help people do that on an individual basis.
Right. Wow. So how do you measure success and like the progress with your clients? How do you know that they're getting somewhere with your guidance?
By how they feel, by their enthusiasm, by how each session matriculates.
if they're able to tell a difference in themselves. That's the greatest thing about any kind of therapy, any kind of life coaching, anything like that, is that it's an individual thing. It's something you can control. It's how much work you put into it. So when I see them putting work into it and making the efforts and corresponding with me, that's how I know I'm making a difference.
Awesome, awesome. So what are like the most important qualities and skills you think a coach has to have in order to be successful?
You have to have been through something. I think you have to have been through something that could have destroyed you, but if you make it to where it fortifies you, that's something that I think most therapists and life coaches have. They have one defining incident that made them embark upon what they're doing, and that's the most important thing, is to keep that in mind. So I just paintbrush that whole approach to everything I do.
Right. So as a life coach, do you have like do you have to be on call? Like in the middle of the night, you have to go help and assist somebody?
I'm available 24/7. That's to anybody. My number 214-810-6518. Whether you want to work with Meta, whether you want to collaborate on something else, 24/7. My phone never stops ringing. Nice. So that's for anybody. Clients, friends, anyone.
Nice. Woo. I love it. I love it. So you helping people 24/7.
I try. I just make myself available. That's sometimes it's the only thing you really need to do to help. It's just if someone knows you're available and you're willing to listen, that can go a long way.
Absolutely. I agree completely. So we're going to talk about next your journey as a mental health advocate. So after we come back, that's going to be our next topic. So as a mental health advocate, what inspired you to take that journey?
Just basically things I've been through and dealing with my own mental health. It has not been easy. There was about a 10-year period where they were trying all kinds of different medications to get my condition stabilized, and it wasn't working. And I went through a lot of the ups and downs. And during that time, I was in the throes of my addiction. So I'm also a recovery specialist. I was in an interesting divorce and custody situation. So I had a lot of external stimuli that made things worse. So that fortified me more so to be an advocate, to speak up for people that cannot speak up for themselves. One blessing that I have, and I'm very cognizant of, is the fact that even though I live with some pretty severe conditions, I'm still thriving, and I'm able to articulate what goes on to people who otherwise wouldn't have any insight into that. Right. So that's one thing I try to do. And I'm just passionate about being a mental health advocate. I've got a couple cases now where people are getting involved with the criminal justice system as a result of their mental illness, and I'm trying to advocate for them. So if you need an advocate or need advice, if I don't have those resources available, I can point you in the right direction. 214-810-6518, 24/7.
So at what moment in your life you said, that it just said, this is what I want to do? What experience led to that?
Okay, I was laying on my couch in my home in Memphis at the time. And it was a day when I was really kind of coming out of recovery, getting my medication, really building myself back up from how far I had fallen. And I was laying on the couch and I was talking to God, which is something I never really did up until that point. And I was looking for a purpose, something to do with my life that would give me satisfaction, joy, purpose, and hopefully at some point along the line fortify myself financially. And Meta Association came to mind. Mental health advocacy. That's what you should do. And it was just a feeling from God that came to me and it inspired me, and I just took the ball and ran with it.
Nice. So you said you're 24/7 all the time helping people. So how do you bring awareness to mental health issues? What do you do for the community when it comes to that?
Appearances like yours, just getting out, talking about it, talking about what I've been through, talking about ways to help, and just being open and available to people and having a genuine feeling to help.
Nice. So do you host like events? I can't. You're muted.
We actually held an event last Saturday called the Meta Men Summit Online. It was about a 4-hour event. We had Banky Pound speaking. We had some great speakers. It was a great event. We talked a lot about therapy. We made a lot of headway. How that came about, usually it takes about 4 months to do a summit. Well, I did mine in a month. And I was up at 1:30 in the morning, and God's voice told me do a summit. And I did it, and I was able to pull it off. And I think the reaction has been very beneficial to me personally. It's given me insight as far as where I need to go in terms of being an advocate and my other endeavors. And I think we reached a lot of men that day. And I think we reached a lot of women that day too.
Nice. Because I was going to ask you about that. Was going to be one of my things. I was going to ask you about how did that go? So you had speakers, and what else did you do giveaways and everything, since you have the nonprofit as well?
Well, we really didn't do giveaways. We just wanted, with it being our first virtual summit, because we got the next one coming up August 17th that I'm planning right now. We just wanted to kind of get our feet wet and see how it went. And now that we saw how it went and we learned so much, the next ones are gonna be amazing in terms of formatting and things like that. So hopefully it's something we can turn into a vehicle that will help people and a potential revenue stream possibly.
Nice. I love it.
See, we don't talk enough about revenue streams in our community.
No, we don't.
I mean, we live under the mindset of get a job, work a job till you're dead, instead of creating multiple revenue streams for yourself to build wealth and independence.
But that's called
so we got to start getting on that. But before we can get to issues like that and equality and parity of care and social issues regarding our community, we got to deal with the mental health aspect first, because until we do that, we will continue to remain where we are in society, which is near the bottom.
I agree. But that comes to what they call generational wealth. You have to start somewhere, trying to, like me as I have one grandchild right now. So I'm like, okay, I have to build a legacy and leave something for him so he can carry on to his children. So it's more or less of passing things down. And in our culture, we don't do that like we should. We really don't.
We don't. And we've been, part of it is ignorance. Part of it is we've been conditioned to be that way.
Right.
A lot of it, we've been conditioned since slavery and, and subsequent to that, to be materialistic, to not think about wealth, to think about, the immediacy, the instant gratification, and that's not sustainable. Right. You can't live like that. Right. How many of us have really nothing to leave our children other than maybe a $30,000 life insurance policy? It takes more than that.
More than that.
It's the reality, and we just need to start having real conversations.
Exactly. I agree. So what advice would you give someone that's dealing with mental issues on a daily basis? What do you give them, say to them, to say, how to cope with that, how to get through the day?
First thing you have to do is accept it, and don't look at it as a negative thing. Just look at it like I'm a diabetic. I have diabetes, big deal. It's just another health condition that I have to manage, and that's how I look at the mental health aspect the same way. If you manage it, if you work at it, you will be okay. If you don't manage it, if you're in denial, or if you're listening to the wrong people, like Big Mama that tells you don't need medication, but she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about, then you're going to have issues. So you have to do the research. You have to invest in yourself. If you're giving a diagnosis, research it. Talk to your clinician. Be active in it, because a lot of guys, we spend more time on our car than we do on ourselves. And as long as we do that, the car will outlive us. Exactly. That's not what we want. So be proactive in your care. Do your research. Talk to people. Get in support groups, and definitely get in therapy. I think therapy should be required for most, especially Black men, because we really need it. A lot of us are cowards and afraid of therapy. We just punks when it comes to that, because we don't want to have those real talks and hear things we don't want to hear about ourselves. But sometimes you have to hear that to get to a point of healing and progress.
Absolutely. But it's just not men. It's Black people in general. We are taught to, what goes on in my house stays in my house. So when you have that concept of being raised, then of course you're not going to go to a stranger and tell what's going on in your house.
Right. But if what's going on in your house is destructive and hurting you, what's the point of keeping it silent?
Absolutely.
That's what I don't get.
I agree.
I mean, it's like drinking poison every day and doing nothing about it. So the least you can do is try to address it and deal with it. And you're not telling every detail about what goes in your house. You're really in therapy more so talking about yourself.
Exactly. But it's It's just like a sore that's never gonna heal unless you go to therapy and let all of that out. That's
Right.
the only way it's gonna heal.
And I'm still healing every day. And one thing I realized that healing is sometimes painful.
Yes.
If you have a wound, it hurts while it's healing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get past that initial pain and that initial effect of it, then it'll be successful and it'll hurt less and less. But you gotta face it. You gotta deal with that hurt. You got to be at the point where you gotta cry and get broken down sometimes to get built back up again. And that's what so many of us are afraid of facing those emotions and feeling the pain and realizing that things in life aren't what we want it to be or what we think it is, especially in terms of our relationship with other people.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's the one thing we're afraid of is losing people. But sometimes you got to lose people, even if it's your mama, even if it's your kid.
Okay.
Sometimes you got to say, son, I love you, but I can't deal with you.
There you go.
You know, and we're afraid to do that because we're taught that no matter what, you stay loyal to family. Why?
Oh my God.
Family can screw you over quicker than anybody. And they usually will. I'm estranged from my family. I don't have any contact with them, and that's better for me. I haven't talked to my family in 7 years.
Wow.
And
How's that going?
Oh, it's going good. No cousins, no sisters, no aunts, no nothing. Nobody for 7 years.
Wow.
And it's liberating for me because I'm truly on my own. I truly have no one but myself. And through that, I found a certain strength and a certain fortitude. And I think we have to do that and transpose that mindset of being independent and really being on your own, as scary as that is, to other areas of our life. Mm-hmm. Because the scariest thing in my recovery, one of the scariest things, the cocaine addiction and getting over that was hard.
I believe that.
But what was harder than that, and what caused me more tears than that, was realizing that the people I had in my life shouldn't be there. They're hurting me, and letting them go. That's the hard thing. But see, so many of us, we just afraid to face the pain. You got to face the rain before you get to the sunshine.
You got that right.
If you get that mindset, you're going to stay stuck in the rut because recovery is not easy. Any kind of recovery from addiction, recovery from trauma, recovery from life, recovery from being a black man, a black person in America. We got to recover from all that stuff. But it's going to take some pain to get through it. But once we get through it, you know, the
stronger than ever.
Stronger than ever.
That's what I'm talking about. But you know what, though? People do, they always say it's your family. It's your family. You got to be loyal to your family. But sometimes your family will bring you down harder than most strangers. Like, treat you better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Strangers. It's like like I said, one thing I'm encountering, a lot of black folks saying, man, that's family. That's family. Family first. Blood don't mean shit. I'm sorry. It don't. Just because you share genetic material with somebody, that don't mean you deal with them. That don't mean you need to be friends with them. That don't mean you need to rock with them. You got to rock for people that rock for you. And a lot of times that ain't your blood.
Okay.
They may be the homeboy you went to school with. They may rock for you when Big Mama don't. So you have to fortify those relationships. I'm not saying family is bad. It just ain't for me. But I'm not saying it's bad. But it's just you have to find a family that fits for you, whether there's blood or not.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Because I have a family. I truly can say that the winner circle and people that are connected through this podcast with me, they're family. And they're not blood, but they're my family and I love them. So you're absolutely right. They don't have to be blood to be your family.
Right.
But hey, it's cutting off season. People ain't dealing with stuff like they used to be.
No. People starting to take a lot less. I think you're seeing that in the dating world with men too. I think us men are starting to take a lot less. But that's a whole other subject. We can do a whole other show on it.
That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. You're right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we're gonna move into your journey as a writer. So when we come back, we're gonna talk about your journey as a writer.
All right. 1 pound spec, eating life. 1 pound spec, eating right. 1 pound spec, sleep at night. You'll see the light. Key to life. 1 pound spec, eating life. 1 pound spec, eating right. 1 pound spec, 1 pound spec.
Hey, yo, my whole clique bout it. We take yours while you pout about it. Truck, step out the horse, want a crowd around it. You can see me on Optimum TV.
All right. So, how did your journey as an author start?
Well, I've always been a writer since about age 5. I was on the school newspaper. That's one of my strong points. I've written I've written screenplays, I've written essays, I've done all these things, and so many people have told me, especially over the past year, George, when is your book coming out? Every podcast, when is your book coming out? I finally decided to write it, and I'm in the process of doing so now. It's called The Meta Mindset. It's going to be very unique. The first part is going to be my narrative, what I've been through. The second part will be sort of like it's formatted off another book that I'm a fan of, George Carlin's "When Will Jesus Bring the Pork Chops?" And his book is set up where it's just him just ranting on different topics. And I'm kind of going to do the same thing. I may do two separate books. I may combine them into one. But that's something that I'm doing. I do it every day. I hate to type, so I'm using GPT to transcribe everything. And hopefully it'll be out by the end of the year. I've already got a publisher lined up. I'm just working on it, and I'm enjoying doing it. And I hope to really give insight in terms of what I've been through. There'll be things in the book that people have never heard.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be some controversial things in there because many of my views are controversial. And it's just something I'm enjoying doing. I'm really looking forward to seeing it come out and seeing it in people's hands.
So how do you deal with writer's block? Do you deal with writer's block on this journey at all?
Not really, because it's different. If I was writing probably fiction or a screenplay, I probably have a little writer's block. But since I'm kind of telling my narrative, and since I'm so used to doing, like, I really thank you for having me on, because things like this help me formulate my book. Because I'm able to be open verbally, I just do the same thing, except it'll just be on paper. And there'll be a lot more in it. It'll be funny, it'll be sad, it'll be a lot of things, but it'll be authentic and it'll be me.
Awesome. So who are some of your influences as authors?
Wow. Frank Miller, he wrote a lot of comic books in the early 80s, and I learned a lot about technical writing from him, believe it or not. A lot of my vocabulary I got from reading comic books, believe it or not. Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman. Wow, I'm sure there are going to be many that are on the tip of my brain, but I can't remember right now. But usually artists are a little bit off the beaten path, a little bit weird. They have an interesting view. Authors that stand out, things like that. People that have a unique voice or unique narrative. And those are people that I tend to gravitate to. I look for a certain authenticity in anything I consume, especially media. Really. So if I feel like the author or the creator is authentic in what they're doing and passionate about it, that automatically draws me to it. And that's what I become a fan of.
Nice. I haven't heard of those authors before, but I'm gonna have to look them up.
Right.
So what genre are you trying to write in for as your books?
For this one, this will be more, I guess, the self-help type thing. That's kind of what, when it's in the bookstores, that's probably the section they'll pigeonhole it into, or African-American something. But I'm looking to place what I do in the place where it will most reach the people that I need to reach, or the people that need to be reached. Because I do recognize with my Meta Men Summit last week, while it was a success, a lot of the people that really needed to hear what was told weren't there. But I made it available. It'll be edited. It'll be up in a few days. And I plan on pushing that out too, doing another press release. So it's just a matter of just making what you do and putting it in an area where it can be seen by people, by your target audience. Just basic marketing, basic business.
Absolutely. So what route are you planning to take? Are you planning to do the self-publishing route, or are you going to do a traditional?
I may do a traditional. I want to do an audiobook with it, do a tour with it, and things like that. So I'm just working on the outline for it, piecing it together, and things like that. And I'm having a blast doing it. It's fun. I've been doing this all my life, writing, so it comes easy to me. It's second nature.
Nice. So on this journey, have you had any challenges so far?
Time, 24 hours in a day is not enough for me. Trying to balance, physical health with mental health, and do everything and make sure that you have a good balance in terms of self-care, self-awareness, and interacting with other people. So I'm doing so many things to where I may be working on it for a couple of hours and not get it done, but just find a balance. Sometimes you have to work on something for 2 hours, work on something else, work on something else. It's a matter of finding a workflow that works for you.
I agree, because I was supposed to release 2 books already this year, and being the fact that I was dealing with the podcast and everything was just taking time away from me. You're right, time is like really important, and when it comes to writing, I have to be in like a a quiet area to a degree, or listening to some music to like
Right.
to that point where I can just flow with it. And if I don't have that and I got constant interruptions, I can't write. Like it
Yeah,
throws
I'm thinking.
me off.
Yeah, I'm thinking about renting me a cabin or something for a few days and just going there and sequestering myself and just writing. You know, you have to be in a certain mindset to write. And when you get in that mindset, you get in that flow, it's no better feeling.
Yes, you can take off. I mean, and
You
I
take
thought about the
off.
same thing too, just going somewhere quiet and just writing because I'm almost finished with the books. It's not that I'm not, I mean, I'm close, but I just haven't sat down and allotted that time for it, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. And it's important to make sure you, when you do that and everything you do, you allot time for yourself too.
Yes.
You know, we oftentimes feel like in society, we're not working ourselves to the bone towards something, then somehow we're inefficient. That's not the case. You have to take care of yourself. I'm a prime example. I've been through burnout several times, ended up in the hospital several times because I prescribed to that mindset, especially a lot of us black men and black people have, you got to work till you're dead.
Yeah.
Why? No, you work efficiently, not like that, because that doesn't yield proper results. We have to have more strategy in how we live our lives, especially career-wise. We need to have more thought into it, have more long-term plans, think about things that are really going to sustain us when we're older. You know, so things like that. But having that space where you can write and create, and I'm looking to get back into music and doing some things like that. I've been doing some acting, so that having that creative aspect of my life is greatly beneficial because I'm a bohemian by nature. So is my son, and we talk about that. And we love to create, we love to talk, we love to do things, especially the fact that it helps people. That's a win-win for me.
Wow, nice. Like it's interesting that you said you've been writing since 5. So what did you start off writing? Did you start off writing just like journal entries, or were you writing poetry? What were
Short
you writing?
story, poetry. I wrote some poetry like a couple nights ago. I found like Saturday is like my poetry night. That's when I write a lot of my poetry. But anything, short stories, essays. I've always been very opinionated, even as a young child. I didn't always verbalize it because I didn't have the confidence to do so, but I always put it down on paper. So the pen is truly mightier than the sword. That's one thing my mother taught me. She said,
I like that.
as black people, you know, if you know how to communicate well verbally and on paper, nobody can stop you. And I can't tell you how many times I've submitted something verbally over the phone or written something and on jobs, and oh great, we love to have you. We got the job. They see a black man walk through. Oh, all of a sudden it's filled.
Oh wow.
So that just goes to show that your communication can get you in the door.
It can. Absolutely.
Use it, fortify, read, write, everybody. I don't care what, if you're reading Donald Goins, read Donald Goins. If you're reading Salman Rushdie, read Salman Rushdie. But be immersed in what makes you happy and what brings you joy. And find a way to externalize it. And if we can, as a people, could find a way to monetize things that we love that are helpful, we'll be the wealthiest race in the world. Maybe not financially, but in terms of spirit and fulfillment, we can get there.
Absolutely. But it's funny you say that, the way that you articulate things and the way you talk and the way you write things, gets you in the door. But another thing that gets you in the door, your name.
Right.
If you have the right, you know how many times I've had interviews based off the fact that my name is Nikki.
Right.
And when I walked through the door, but see, they had the phone conversation too, and I'm, I had, everybody got a phone, a phone voice, hello,
right.
Everybody got that phone voice. So, they just knew they had somebody. And I walked through that door and it was like, nah, that's not what we were looking for. So your name and the way that you communicate will get you through that door. I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, I've seen it. I was working I was a operations manager for this company a few years ago, and one of the directors under me had to interview a receptionist for himself. And she came in, she was a young black lady, extremely intelligent, extremely qualified, would have been perfect, but her name disqualified her. Purely based on her name. Resume, perfect, everything. But it wasn't my decision to make the hire. So, I would have hired her regardless of the name. I just would have found something else to call her that was a little bit more pronounceable.
Right.
But at the same time, that's sad that it's that way, but that's just reality. Be careful what you name your kids, people.
Right.
If it's cute to you, it's probably ugly to the rest of the world. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry, but it's true. It's very true. They look at that name and they just, I don't want them. And like you said, she was intelligent and couldn't get a job based off her name.
Based off of that. And it's so unfair and it's tragic, but that's just real life.
It's life. It's life. So my final question for this segment as an author, what advice would you give to the authors out there that's trying to make their mark in the world as an author, trying to just start?
Write as much as you can, journal, use your phone. If you're not in an area where you can write, just do a voice memo and come back to it, and engage and immerse yourself in as much as you can culturally. Different music, different foods, different people. Go to museums, and you don't know how. I can't tell you how many times some of my best thoughts have been sparked by standing in the line at the grocery store.
Yes.
You never know, as a writer, you never know when that inspiration may hit you. You never know. So always be prepared to get that down, even if it's 1 or 2 sentences, and come back to it. Stay on it. Stay on it. And if it's not fun to you, don't do it. But find what's fun in what you do. And just do it. Don't sit around and plan about, well, one day out. Forget, one day is today.
I agree. Because you know what? I've woke up in the middle of the night, and that's why I keep a tablet right beside my bed, because I woke up in the middle of the night with a thought, and I had to write it down. Woke up with that thought. I just had to write it down real fast. So, because you know it's gonna go away. It's not gonna stay there. So you're right. You're right. That thought can come anywhere. It can come in the grocery store. You can be at an event, and you'll forget it in the next moment. So you're right. You're right. You hit that on the knot. All right. So when we come back, we're gonna talk about your last. Well, it's not your last title, but it's one of your many titles in public speaking.
All right.
Ice Cube, baby. 99, baby. I'm on the grind, baby. All the time, baby. Show me something.
You can do it, put your back into it.
I can do it, put your hands into it.
You can do it, put your back into it.
I can do it, put your hands into it.
Put your back into it.
Put your hands into it. Tick, tick, boom, hit me banging down these back streets. Loving Black Street, treated like an athlete. Like
I was sitting there jamming. So, what inspired you to be a public speaker? How did that journey start?
I found that when I started my nonprofit, I began doing interviews and things like that. And people were saying, you come across well, we want to see you in a different venue. And I never really thought about public speaking until then. And once I found my purpose, the vehicle behind my speaking, it just kind of took off. I speak on mental health. I speak on everything that I'm speaking on now. Sometimes it's very formal, very erudite, depending on the audience. Sometimes it's a little bit more real. And part of being a public speaker is having that adaptability to know your audience and know what to say and know what the boundaries are and being able to read the room. I also work for a wrestling company. So that's a big deal. And one thing I've learned from that is how to read the room, read the crowd, read the audience, adjust, flow. Okay, well, the audience is giving me this vibe. Let me skip over this point and get to that one. It's very much a parlay. And that's what I love about the public speaking, especially face-to-face. But it's a powerful vehicle. I think I have a unique voice because I've been through things. I've been there. I mean, I was homeless a year ago. I mean, I had a heart attack a year ago. I was on the street the next day. Wow. So I've been through things like that. So when somebody comes to me, it's like, I get it. You know, hey, this is what I did to get out of this situation. This is how I dealt with this. This is how I changed. And no better communication method is going to take precedent other than the spoken word, because you can see the inflection, you can see the eye movement, you can feel the person. And there's something that's just so organic and beautiful about that I really, really, really enjoy.
Wow. So can you recall the first speaking engagement that you had and how that experience was?
It was at a church. It really wasn't a formal one. It was just me getting up in front of one of the groups and speaking, and it went well. I really didn't prepare anything. When I speak publicly, I really don't prepare anything. I go off I let God give me the words.
Nice.
I'll do a brief outline of what I want to cover, what the topic is, what my audience is. I do my work. I do my due diligence. But when it comes out to being in front of that person or being on a podcast like yours, God is in control as far as what comes out of my mouth. So as long as I go by that, I've been doing okay so far. So I'm going to keep on with it.
Nice. See, it took some time for me to get behind this mic and be like, I'm comfortable behind this mic because I was scared that first time. I was
Mhm.
nervous, sweating, boiling sweat. I've never been that kind of like, public speaking type of
Right.
person. Even though like I took classes in college, everybody takes a public speaking class. You would think I would have been prepared for it by now, but hey, it is what it is. And the more you
Yeah.
do it, the more comfortable you get with it. So
Yeah. You got to get out there and just be nervous. Be nervous. Mess up. Make a mistake, but you learn
that's
from it. I mean, they're not gonna kill you because you stumbled over a few words.
exactly. I agree. That's the next question. Do you ever get nervous?
No, I don't get nervous. I get excited.
Mm.
I get excited because every time I get up to speak, it's an opportunity for me to help somebody. It's an opportunity for me to reach somebody. I used to get nervous, may get a little jitters, but I just get hyped for it.
Wow. See, that's different. I get nervous. Now, I've been invited to like speak somewhere at the end of the year, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, I need to prepare a speech because there's no way I can get up there and just talk off the top of my head. How do you do that?
It comes easy once you get like one thing I do when I do an outline of my talk, I just hit my bullet points, and then once the bullet point comes to my mind when I'm speaking, I just speak on. Because I've done this so much, I already got kind of an idea of. Well, here's the difference. I'm telling my narrative. My story doesn't change, so it's easy for me. Now, if I was speaking on something else, it may be a little bit more, involved. But when you're telling your narrative, that's really when you can speak from the heart and off the top of your head and keep it
That's
going.
true.
And, it depends on if you're passionate about what you're talking about and how much you into it. It's some things that I would never speak on because they have no effect on me. They don't affect me. They don't reach me. So you, as a public speaker, you can't speak on things you're not passionate about.
Facts. I agree. I agree because you're right. If it's something that like if I had to go somewhere and speak about podcasting, I can just go up there and talk about it. I'm not gonna need no
Right.
manuscript. I'm not gonna need anything. I can just talk about podcasts because I'm really passionate about it. So you're right. You're right. So don't speak on nothing that you're not
Right.
passionate about, and you'll be all right. Okay.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
So what challenges do you think you faced as a public speaker?
Finding paying gigs. That's really the hard thing because there's so many opportunities and a lot of them are focused toward women, but I still apply for those too. And it's just a matter of just finding paying gigs and things like that. And I think the summit market and the public speaking market is really going to blow up over the next few years. It may be a fad, may not be, but since we're both kind of in on the ground floor, it's time for us to capitalize as Black folks and get this money.
Okay. I agree. I agree. So, what advice do you give to anybody that wants to go into that field and say they want to be a public speaker? They love speaking, but they just don't know where to start or how to get themselves out there. What advice do you give?
Expand your vocabulary. When I was young, my mother used to make us read the dictionary sometimes. So expand your vocabulary. Speak as much as possible. If you're in church, speak for free at first, just to get those reps in. And take a course. Take a public speaking course. Udemy is a good one. Skillshare is a good one. Take a course. Learn. Listen to a lot of different speakers. Listen to the stand-up comedians. Because part of being a public speaker is being a storyteller. And some of the best storytellers are comedians. And just pay attention to their flow, how they read, how they change, because it's a very fluid thing when you're speaking publicly, especially in front of people, because you can lose them like that. But if you feel them start to fade, you just pull them right back in. It's what you got to do. Learn all those things. Learn the hustle. Have a hustler mindset in what you do. See, that's the difference between me and everybody else, I think. I have a hustler mindset to everything I do. If I'm speaking in a room full of people with PhDs, I go in there with a hustler mindset. That's why I'm doing so many things. That's what works for me. But find what works for you and go with it.
Wow. That's interesting because I have always carried the dictionary around with me. And people always picked on me because I did that. But you would be surprised what's in that Webster dictionary.
Right.
Words that you never heard of, words that people don't use. I read the dictionary every day.
Right.
Every single day.
Yeah. And one thing like my parents did with me, if I had questions about something, they would both tell me, look it up. I'll say, well, y'all always tell me to look it up so you learn how to seek knowledge for yourself. Because I know, George, I can tell you, but that's lazy if I tell you. I want you to earn it. I want you to earn what you know. Earn who you are. Earn who you're going to be. You got to work for it. I'm not going to give it to you because the world's not going to give you anything.
Exactly. And that's that old school method, because my mom was very old school. Look it up.
Yeah, I tell my kids now. I'm like, you got Google on your phone and you asking me anything?
Okay. For real, especially when it comes to the Bible. She be like, look it up. Get your own understanding.
And I realized, though, too, a lot of times when kids ask our parents something, it's because we want to interact with them. We want to hear how they feel. So I have to balance it between making them independent thinkers and independent Black men and being a dad, too. So, you know, that's a fun thing. I love being a dad. That's just, I can speak on that all day.
Nice. So I'm going to give you your 30 seconds of fame. I want you to let everybody know where they can book you to speak for an event, how they can donate to your organization, anything that's going to make you shine even brighter. I want you to put it out there.
All right. Well, I'm George P. Brooks, CEO and founder of Meta Association. You can visit our site at meta, METTA, association.org. I'm available to collaborate in terms of mental health advocacy, public speaking, pretty much anything. If you watch this podcast, you kind of know all I'm involved in. So give me a call, 214-810-6518, 24/7. Shoot me a call or a text or leave a message if you want to collaborate. If you're interested in booking me to speak, that's the best number to reach me at, 214-810-6518. You can also donate to our nonprofit at Cash App, $ Meta Association, METTA. We are a 501c3. All your donations are tax deductible, and they go toward building mentoring programs and events and other things like that to destigmatize and help our community on a real level. So we're more than just lip service. We're actually doing the work. So George P. Brooks, you can email me at gbrooks@metaassociation.org as well. I hope you've enjoyed hearing from me, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I would like to thank you so much for being a guest on Breaking the Silence. I wish you nothing but success on your journey. I hope that your organization reaches the top where you're trying to get it to, and continue to do what you're doing. You know, get the word out there, bring awareness to mental health, and take care of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I had to learn to do that the hard way, but I've learned, and I'll tell you that self-care is the most important thing, because there's nothing more important than yourself. Without yourself, nothing else can happen. Not your kids, not your faith, nothing happens unless you're taking care of yourself first.
Absolutely. And see, I'm telling you that, and I need to get rest. But
get some rest, my friend, for real.
But yes, thank you so much, and I hope that you'll be back on when you release that book.
Oh, definitely, anytime.
All righty, and thank you so much, everyone else out there, for being a part of this experience with Mr. George Brooks on his journey to becoming an author. He wears so many hats. He is a life coach, a speaker, a mental health advocate. He has a nonprofit organization where it specializes in so, you know, he has this information. And please reach out to me, and I'll make sure I get that information to you so you can help someone else. The purpose of living is to help somebody else. The purpose of living and breathing is to help somebody else. We can't do it alone. We need each other. We have to support each other. I keep saying this on every appearance, and I'm going to say it until everybody gets it, that we have to win collectively. If we're trying to go to the top, we have to do it together. So help somebody today. Tell somebody you love them. Family, friends, whoever. That might be the highlight of the day. So y'all tune in for the next episode, Mr. Jeffrey Jones at 12:30 p.m. He's a veteran educator. He's another man that wears many, many hats, and I'm ready to jump into that conversation and find out the greatness he has done for this world. So y'all have a wonderful day, and tune in the next time to Break the Silence together with Arthur, Nikki, Nicole. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you at 12:30.
There's levels to this. 70. There's levels to this. 80. Levels. 90. Levels. 100. Levels. 120. I worked hard. too hard. I work 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 hard.
I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Do you know what that mean, man? I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Do you know what that mean?
She got her own house, she got her own car. 2 jobs, work hard, you a bad broad. If you ain't